Welcome to one of the most unreasonable videos that I've ever made, with 15 commanders loading into a single island, in a free-for-all, with the unit limit set at 32,000. The name of the game, and the circumstances both beyond all reason. It's free to play, open source, it's made by volunteers, but it will cost you a whole chunk of your free time, and probably more of your sanity. So if you have either of those, before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button, maybe even subscribe, and we kind of the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,040 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. As the commanders, scared, well, maybe, and alone. It is a free-for-all. That means they have no knowledge of who's next to them, who's across the map. The strategy in such a scenario certainly is almost one of diplomacy alongside aggression. But very notably, we have the highest ranked free-for-all player in the game. Somewhat notably called Flash. Now, probably not the Flash you're thinking of from a more StarCraft-oriented background, but he is ranked 122. For reference, nobody is over rank 100 in any of the other game modes. You have a ranking specifically for each one. So, clearly, he's got a target on his back, on his front, and anything else he sends out. But, as always, the map is dark and full of ticks as those early scouts coming out. And we got a debate. Is it better to get aggressive and try to grab some more territory early? As the metal extractors, in order to get anything, you need metal for pretty much everything except angry words in the chat. And, you know, that's usually the source of many of them. In order to get those extra metal extractors, do you get aggressive? Or do you just try to play hard to get and hope to pick up the pieces as others fight it out? Like we have Parasorlov over here against, oh, come on. Siege already battling it out. The early units coming out, well, very early. And I do think it will be a point of contention. He's next to Better Strategy. Well known for his namesake, so definitely not a pushover. Though it remains to be seen who will be left in the ashes of each corner. I think it's incredibly unlikely most players will see even like a third of the enemy players before the forces get consolidated. As you don't have your teammates to rely on, only what you're able to build, and there's a finite amount of potential resource income. And as the battles get more dramatic, whoever wins them will have access to reclaim. Being able to pick up a whole bunch of the metal from the wreckage of the battlefield, which is one of the most interesting things, and gives you some reason to actually fight those battles and try to win, as being able to get the resources from salvage afterwards is kind of a huge deal. Meanwhile, Mr. Peanut just driving right by Strom, almost into Flash's territory. The wind is an average of 14, which makes wind turbines by far the most valuable and efficient early game resource. Big Ugly Bear came down from the mountains, and Barty is completely out of position. The bear is just ravaging the entire base. Barty, he has no home to go back to. He hasn't lost his commander, but losing your commander means you lose the game. You have no teammates to fall back on. You have no chance to come back. So, well, the commander's always important, but it's not optional here in this sort of battle royale. And again, going too far out of your base, see just ransacking the southwestern corner. Is Parasaur going to try to make him pay for it? Meanwhile, the rockets at the front, he's already kind of getting squeezed out. Strom trying to take out more of this. Is anyone else making that bold mistake? Barney's going to try to do the same thing. He's climbing the mountain. And Big Ugly Bear is taking his sweet time. Mutually assured destruction in the top right corner. The Armada commander cresting the hill and coming down. And, well, I neglected to mention, though it should have been pretty obvious, naval units are not disabled. It's just strongly discouraged by the lava that is coating the water. Well, there's no water anymore. If they both go down... Well, Barney's had enough. All right. If you die, so will I. I'm actually kind of surprised. Wipe me with calm, I wipe you. Good luck, have fun. Spectators joining in. Didn't know that you could climb that with the commander? Which, it seems multiple players realizing that the vertical challenges are not... Oh no. Well, Florio lived! Oh no! And with the death of the commander, his opponent wiped off the field, and Florio, rank 56, huge risk. Less than 10% HP, but 0. Freaking out. Meanwhile, Barty getting chased down, a single mace, looking to bash him into oblivion. 8%. There's a single, he only had enough. The commander itself has a very slight amount of income. Oh no! Parasaur is down. CGI? We'll go with that. We'll claim victory. Now, the players will hear enemy commander destroyed. They'll see the count in the top right and know that their opponents are starting to thin. But they don't unless they're the ones instigating it and they have vision. As again, we'll just take a look. Flash has managed to kind of just be a thorn in the side without actually antagonizing anyone, which seems to be the best strategy so far. Though you don't always get the option. Yeah. So you don't know where that commander was destroyed unless you were the one to witness it. It will give that global alert, but again, so that's the interesting part. Of course, you could narrow it down a bit, depending on how much vision you have, how much radar, how much intuition. Big ugly bear off to the corner. Barty has lived, though it looks like Annie is kind of in some of the territory both of them would have claimed earlier. We have 2 refugee commanders. The spectators commentating as well in some fashion, a bit more directly. Meanwhile, better strategy with a staggered wall off. Going to gut the base of CGI, who's essentially reclaimed his recent praise territory, as the mace is just bashing through, and there's not nearly enough to defend against this. Big ugly bear. Oh, Barty! His final revenge! A laser turret! Oh my! Oh, it gets degunned. Barty versus bear is still not. Thank you for killing each other, Annie. Very gracious in victory. And technically, Barty and bear are still here. It's just the math is going to be a struggle for him now. Meanwhile, better strategy. Quite efficiently with a Centurion in the lead. The strongest tier 1 armada bot. We've got, of course, now the most important time, since they don't have teammates, they just have frenemies to complain to in the chat afterwards. Big Ugly Bear is actually capturing things, which you can technically do, and almost always is practically difficult. Let's see, Flash. Still, like, Flash is just chilling. We can see in the bottom right, the leaderboard is a combination of resource income and that it's actually a leaderboard of their strength in the game at the moment, where it's a combination of units on the field, resource income, I believe also resources destroyed, but I'm not 100% about that one. So Annie and Flash as the top 2. Florio, who barely survived his initial engagement, but now thriving. Big risk, big reward. Barty! Barty is down. Big Ugly Bear says, I win. Technically, he's left, so we'll be ranking higher when everything's said and done. Though I'm not entirely sure being 10th. Flash has tier 2 on the way. He's been... I don't know how much is just making it difficult for his opponents and how much that they saw Flash and didn't really want to engage. But we do have 3 Titans now kind of emerging. It's Flash, Florio, and Annie. With Florio taking most of the northwestern quadrant and slowly working his way through. A couple players are left to challenge. Steve Bot, who held down the center and is working north. Mitos, who is just kind of building up to the due north. Strom and Mr. Peanut have been having it out for so long, and I feel like when Flash comes, it's going to be, it's not going to be a drawn-out affair, but more a lightning strike, a blitzkrieg early on, and both of them could easily be wiped out. Who is this? Says Florio. Steve Bot here. Probably not expecting to... Oh! Mr. Peanut finally took out Strom. Totally annihilated. And Flash, I think, realized... Oh, maybe it was Flash. Unclear. But either way, that territory's open, and Mr. Peanut doesn't realize the danger the commander's in. Flash with a spread of maces working his way up. Let you go to the player cam for a moment, see how he handles it. Always interesting with how the cameras work, and beyond all reason, and the unbelievably nuanced control scheme. We see an actual top-down here, which, you know, in my opinion, is the best way to actually get vision, but it's also very hard to adapt to if you're not used to it. Treating it like a almost 4x game, and, you know, if you think about it, individually micro, is he gonna resurrect? Can you resurrect and have two command? I mean, why not? Seems like no other holds are barred. Flash just clearing the field, sweeping over. Meanwhile, the maces, oh, Mr. Peanut trying to scramble after that whole battle with Straub. Gonna be left crippled and an easy target. Just moving in, Flash drawing fire, trying to get some flanking damage as well. When units attack from multiple angles in a short succession, they do more damage. So it's much better to attack from multiple angles than all from one side, not just for tactical reasons, but for DPS reasons as well. The attempted tier 2, Mr. Peanut will be driven into the hills. Will Flash chase him all the way down? Setting up resurrecting many of those units. And, well, clearing out that territory. But still, only now seeing a bit more of the map. Mr. Peanut left with, well, let's go to how many units? 2. 2 units. Well, that's something, I guess. Meanwhile, for reference, Flash is at 200. Just slightly more. And Stevebot, who's now squeezed down the center. Florio to the north. Where's his commander? Where is Stevebot? Oh, he's right in the midst. Right down the center. Meanwhile, Better Strategy has consolidated his position to the south. Pretty solid economy there. Flash is hunting Mr. Peanut, who's caught between multiple players, doing him the respect of killing him with the commander. Which is, you know, something. Down he goes. His own commander at 50%. But, how generous. Meanwhile, Big Ugly Bear is still in the game somehow. Driven into the corner. Still has technically an economy. Some, oh, aircraft. Gunships coming out. So there's a Hail Mary here. Sniping the commander with gunships would actually be unbelievably huge. That is a massive play. Unfortunately, his own commander, and with it his units, obliterated in turn. And down goes another one. And then there were 8. Stevebot! Stevebot just giving it up. Wow, Stevebot self-destruct, fully aware of the implications. Gives up the center, and that actually, somewhat unintentionally, I guess, opens up the map as a free-for-all now, not just for Flash, but for Annie and Florio. I'm not sure who else can challenge it. Better Strategy has carved out some more space, though significantly less aggressively. Actually has access to a geothermal plant, the most efficient kind of tier 1. But already some fusion reactors from Flash. Is scaling his economy. And quickly getting to the point where not just metal extractors will be a priority. In fact, Flash has 90 metal a second. Florio is at 100. And Annie at 115. You can see in the top right, which is getting easier and easier to read as the numbers dwindle. We, of course, the most important thing after you get eliminated is to point the finger. In the spectator chat. Essentially the ghosts debating over their corpses. But the map getting carved out. Annie doing a great job of clearing out much of the north. Florio, despite having a little bit less territory, has a very efficient income, including an advanced geothermal plant, Mitos. Yeah, Flash just slowly and very surely clearing out so much of the map. Somewhat of a standoff, I believe, seeing Annie's units up north. Definitely the radar spotting for all this. Some jammers coming in. Radar is based on terrain, and jammers do exactly what you think. Theft. Trying to grab one of the commanders, and having some insurance would always be great. So far, though, Flash has held the line. Better strategy, creating his own. He's got an artillery piece in position to potentially contest the Tier 2 Cortex vehicle plant. Just before it finishes, it looks like. I don't know if he actually has vision of that plant, but firing in that general area. You know where the metal extraction points are, so at the very least you can target those. Warman also engaging Flash on his eastern front. Meanwhile, Mitos has been all but cleared out by the welders of Florio. Just cleaning up the rest. The commander in the midst of the base. A few artillery pieces, a few turrets. Not enough. Mitos pulling back. The D-gun lines up one. Already a bit bruised. Just whipping out the D-gun in every direction. It one-shots every unit it touches. Costs a lot of energy, though. And Florio's not done. Another round's coming in. Here come the pawns. His time is limited, but he's trying to maximize it. The chase. Oh, no. The pawns are surrounding. You can only whip out the D-gun in one direction at a time. A typical limitation. And we'll go down. Another one. Meanwhile, Warman under siege from the artillery. Better strategy on the high ground. Not sure if Warman has vision, but now the logo. Oh, the artillery smashing into the tanks. Not gonna take him out too quickly, but adding up the damage, and between the commander, multiple turrets. Okay, Beamer. Oh, the commander being tight. If the commander gets taken down again, that is the way to turn it around. Potential comeback. But so far, not manifesting itself as, well, becoming pretty clear who the leaders in the game are. On the leaderboard, Annie still in first, Flash right behind, Florio in third, and Better Strategy has taken the fourth place slot. Annie with a whole lot of territory to work with. 113 metal per second, but Flash is doing a great job of scaling his economy. The infinite scaling of bar. And the ability to exponentially increase your resources is such a key part. And being able to do it without giving up your position militarily is even more important. So, in order to get energy, you have wind turbines, you have solar panels. And then later on, you have things like fusion reactors, which are incredibly expensive, but give you proportionally more energy. And then, at a certain point, you can build energy converters, which convert, for example, the advanced energy converter 600 into 10 metal per second, which is the same as several metal extractors. Better Strategy takes out Warman. And then, technically there were 6, but practically there were 4. Wait, 6? CGI? Is there a commander hiding somewhere? So, the point is, you build more energy to convert it into more metal through space alchemy, which allows you to build more energy more quickly to convert more into metal, and so on and so forth and so on. And that, at some point, it outstrips the resources on the map. Annie, no! Flash! Wait! Annie, yes! Rumors of Annie's demise were greatly exaggerated. Losing one of their commanders. Unfortunately, there's not really an army here to deal with it. Flash seeing an opportunity. Meanwhile, Florio, uncontested on the Western Front, is grinding through. And Annie's second life may be cut short as well. The sprinters from Armada. Oh no, and he knows where the Geo is. And 3 sprinters might be enough to take it out on their own. There's no defense. Oh no, it's a disaster. As the sprinters, even splitting some of them off. Florio scouted this, is like, sure, fine. There it goes. And everything nearby, which is why Flash was pulling some of it back. Annie now quickly knocked off the first place slot on the leaderboard. And pretty soon might be knocked off entirely. Oh, the reason there were more commanders on the field is because multiple Florio has 2 commanders. So, collecting extra, which is that insurance helping out a lot. Just like better strategy. Wait, reclaiming! Chooses not to resurrect the commander, but instead reclaims it. And a 30%, it's gone. And there goes the base, and it's free real estate. Now, to the northeast. And then there were 4. CGI. Kind of boxed into the corner by better strategy. And it's gonna be a free-for-all from Florio and Flash, for the most part, to grab as much of this territory as possible. The somewhat tense, yet relatively uneventful standoff between better strategy and Flash. Where's his commander? He's moved his commander to the center of his base, making sure that he has territory on every side. Yeah, vision of any potential incursion, but still, technically Flash, at least any of the buildings, has not seen Florio the entire game. Knows where better strategy is located, but the player count has thinned out dramatically, and CGI now assaulted by spiders, exploding his own turret and getting a lot of damage done for it. But now the ticks and the gunslinger, the last stand here. D-guns, but the ticks from every angle. Oh no. And then there were 3. The board is set. To the northwest, we have Florio in the red. To the east, it's Flash in the green. And to the south, the forces of better strategy. Armada, and believe it or not, Armada. A triple Armada commander fight. Does Florio have a Cortex commander? Technically he does. So Florio, the only player in the, well, you don't have to have the commander, you just have to resurrect a constructor. So there is a chance, and there's another commander right there, Flash could potentially. Actually reclaimed it to 6%, the Diligence. So got the maximum amount of metal. With that, wait, no, he already has 2. He has 2 commanders. So they know how many players are in the game. But they can also see how many commanders. So it's pretty obvious now that at least a couple players have multiple. And Flash is potentially going to have 3. And is that a Cortex commander up there? No, another Armada. The easiest way to build units from the other faction besides resurrecting your opponents or their constructor is to have that commander, of course. Florio actually has some scout aircraft out there who have landed but still give a whole bunch of extra vision. So, and don't seem to be taken out quite quickly. He knows where better strategy is, what the makeup of his base is. Now, very clearly, fighter aircraft can still fire at you on the ground in sort of a curious turn of events, despite not having any other anti-ground capabilities, except when they crash. But now the Cold War kind of begins. As it's pretty clear now. Whoever attacks or whatever sort of front opens up next will leave those 2 players wide open to the third. Now, very clearly better strategy is the odd man out. He's only got 2,000 energy per second, compared to 11k of Flash and 20k of Florio, who's now building mass advanced fusion reactors with a full grid of construction turrets. The power grid is coming together. There are some spy bots. Infiltration, very important. Better strategy, going to be consolidating everything. He started his own advanced fusion reactors. But, well, peace in our time. After 24 minutes of constant aggression in some fashion or another, I think we may go almost an entire minute without a single unit being destroyed. So, we do have on the front line, Flash is actually using the queued transport to bring more sharpshooters to the front. Just standing their ground, waiting for their moment. Florio, focused on a similar unit composition. We've got anti-nuke vehicles. Not committing to the emplacement, just having a mobile anti-nuke bot. So one of these scout aircraft is being reclaimed slowly but surely by a resbot of better strategy, which I don't think gives you the unit under attack notification, because your unit is not being under attack. It is just being aggressively dismantled. So, well... it's gone. Fully reclaimed, all the metal. I believe you get 100% when you reclaim a living unit. Living. As the fusion cores come together. Florio, using... he's got his armies scattered throughout. And keeping your army kind of spread in multiple places is not only practical, but for hiding the information from your enemies. So... really, the question is, can better strategy, with no further income, with a similar amount of metal extractors, can he scale at the same rate as the players who have 10 times his energy production? Conventional wisdom and basic mathematics say no. But... interestingly... oh, we've even got tier 3. The experimental gantry pumping out marauders as well. Florio with currently 664 units. Flash has... that can't be right. He has more than 130. Oh, 600 units as well. Better strategy, sitting at 500. And counting. Buildings count as units. Some of them can be transported and move as well, but everything just counts as one. Whether it's a juggernaut, your mother, or a tick. Size does not matter. Expense does not matter. The legions coming together despite the lack of legion in this game. Is that really the sound of a geothermal building? I guess it makes sense. Never been so close. The better strategy also with a picket line. 30k energy for both Flash and Florio. And another grid queued up. Let's go to the Florio architectural camp. Also using the top-down methodology. Controlling everything together. I'm not sure if he has the control groups or just auto groups, which I guess counts. And the assault begins. He knows Annie's dead, and clearly, oh my, with almost 1,000 units, Flash on the front line. And he's going, well, so it begins. The Cold War just went hot. And one of the commanders being overrun, but the Marauders are breaking through. The Pawns as well. The Sprinter's not nearly enough. The first line of defense, he has multiple commanders to fall back on. This one will almost certainly fall, though, right off the bat. And here we go. And on the other side, Flash sending everything to the north. The Marauders are smashing through. How does this commander live? The Pawns, though, finally go down. And Flash, the front line is overrun. Will retreat. He has 2 more commanders to fall back. But the defensive line was toppled incredibly quickly. Florio's done a great job of constantly scouting with those aircraft. Flash tried some of the spy bombs, but... and the Pawns in the front just completely overrunning the sharpshooters. An absolute disaster. Flash running with another one of his commanders in the corner. The Marauders bashing through and very quickly moving to reclaim this battlefield. He's actually using Flash's metal extractors. Instead of rebuilding him himself, he'll just patch them up and put them back together. The sharpshooters holding the line, but with this many tier 1 units, most of their damage is wasted. And, oh no. Florio overrunning things. Better strategy, content. Now, he might not even know any of this is happening. And even if he does, the better strategy is likely to just wait it out and let the smoke clear. I don't know if technically... well, if he looks into the fog of war, he may see the disaster currently happening. And finally, a Razorback comes out. Flash didn't have the tier 3, but it seems like the battle line will stop here, just before both of his commanders are overrun. Flash hit, well, a constant stream. One Razorback is not going to be enough. Meanwhile, better strategy with nuclear bombers trying to make their way forward. Flash responds with the fighters in the sky, knocks it down. That commander. He knew there was a commander in the corner, and now Florio is quickly moving to reclaim this line. He's got a whole bunch of tier 2 fighters ready. Flash with, are these all fighters? Indeed they are. Not a single bomber. And Razorback's not so bad at dealing with it. The fighters will swarm over the field. The terrain. Always a certain amount of distance away from the terrain, making sometimes for an awkward situation. Trying to climb the hill, but the angle is just too good for the Razorbacks. Well, it's like 8 Razorbacks against 4, but he has the high ground. Don't try it. I don't think we're underestimating. Flash caught. He's spotted. Another one of the commanders. Going to be overrun. Takes out a few with it, but finally, yes, indeed. And Flash was down to 1. He still has the greatest economy in the game, but Florio has claimed the north, and Flash, unhappy roommates with better strategy to the south, which I believe has just less territory in general, and the metal extractor is pretty evenly distributed. The lines are drawn here on D World. The Razorbacks cresting the hill, going to just obliterate. Machine gunning down. There's a commander. Oh, he reclaimed Flash's commander and now he's going to use it for potential D-guns. Florio, never letting a commander go unwasted. What a play. That could be huge here. And, oh no, disaster. Well, I think that may have hurt more than it helped, but the idea was good. The execution, well, was of the commander only. The Razorbacks with more than enough HP. Just chewing through the Razorbacks. So good at dealing with swarms of smaller units. But are they good enough? Flash reclaiming the hill. Better strategy throughout all this, slowly but surely creeping up into the double digits of energy production. And there's a chance, with the mutually assured destruction of his greatest opponents, that he can swoop in for a victory. Some sharpshooters. Still to the south, there was the attempt with a couple of atomic bombers to maybe snipe off the economy and undercut Flash. But honestly, at this point, better strategy's best defense is Flash existing. Flash puts up a pulsar, which is going to try to angrily cut through some of the defenses, but I think strategy's not going to risk this at this point. The Razorbacks on either side of the hill. And over the top, there's an atomic bomber mixed in with those fighters. Multiple. And they're hitting the Razorback line. Just obliterating the front line. The fighters trying to cut through. It's not enough in time. The Razorbacks will be able to slice through one another. And Flash definitely took the lead when it comes to the Razor count. Cutting through now. Those Gatling guns just melting everything in their path. The line was opened up by the atomic bombers and Flash trying to work his way through. And I'd like to add to the drama. No, that looks terrible. I thought that would look a lot better. Never mind. Just ignore that. The Razorbacks taking out a lot of the air. Most of the fighters thinned out. How many in total? There are 26 on the field, most of them belonging, well, between them all, 230 kills. A tick and a Razorback and a commander all count for 1 apiece. The Razorbacks continuing to chew through one another. A whole lot of res bots behind, but they're not going to help out too much in a direct engagement. Oh no, Florio with another commander. He has 3 to his name. The D-guns, still not enough, but softens up the rest of the push. Flash striking back. Better strategy waits in the winds. Florio with another commander coming up. He has 60k energy production, 1,000 metal per second. A Razorback for reference costs 3,800. So every 4 seconds as long as he has the build power. But Titans, prepare for Titanfall. A Titan has hit the field and is stomping its way forward. Florio, his last commander backing off to his massive power grid. Another commander overrun by the tanks. The D-guns are not enough. And down it goes. 3 commanders remain. And then there was 1 for each side. Flash, the wreckage. How much? Wait, can we see? There's 60,000 metal on the ground to the north. But Titans, not quite as good at taking out the tier 1, but way tankier and way better at taking out large groups of tier 3 as the battle continues to heat up. Not too many units on the field, but distributed all over the place. A line of pop-up turrets ready to blast down anything but the most directed assaults. Better strategy now at 24k energy, benefiting from this all-out war between these players. They both know he's there, and I don't think either can afford the amount of attention it takes to take him out. And, oh, here comes for a huge bombing run. Where's he going? He's going to try to circumvent. The fighters are in position, but he's going to see this pretty late. Will he move it in time? The fighters are not moving. They're not moving. That means he's not going to have the initiative. They're getting very close to the base. Many of them being cut down by the flak. Fighters knocking each other out of the sky. He has a target on the fusion reactors, and he's going to hit. There goes the economy. But it was almost a decoy, as most of his power grid is over to the east side. But that brings him a lot closer in line with better strategy. Now or never better strategy. Flash after the aggression fails, and he's clearly losing the war. He appeals to diplomacy, and there's nothing stopping him from, oh my. The bombing run. Oh my. No radar. The first major attack. The first time finding Florio. Does he know where the fusions are? He can take a guess. Oh no. Oh my. What a timing. Just as it seemed all was lost, better strategy swoops out of the sky. He's gonna scatter his bombs throughout, but completely uncontested. And one fusion could be them all. And then, but wait, there's more. Another wave. They're already softened up. What? Excuse me? Hello? The bombers have been unchecked for so long they can come in for another round. This is the blue bomb. There it goes! It's a disaster for Florio. But wait, there's more. The thing is, the bombers, he doesn't have the production. He took out the aircraft plant with it. And now the bombers are almost offensively trickling their bombs across it, making it rain, making it drizzle. In fact, the construction, well, that is the vast majority. Each of these 3,000 energy. There's 12 fusion reactors. That's 36 out of his 44k. The Titans are moving forward. The bombs, I think he just needs to target the construction turrets, which are out repairing these bombers, which is kind of sad. No, I think he'll get there. At this rate, slowly. Well, he got a flak turret. Are you kidding me? The bomber's almost lackadaisical, and because of it, he will live. Wow. Meanwhile, the Titans are trying to climb the mountain. But why are they climbing the mountain? To engage the Razorbacks. Florio, because of better strategy, really just leaving us with the blue balls of bombing runs. He didn't pop the reactors. And, well, Flash can't know that. I don't know if there was any. I wasn't paying attention to the chat. Flash right now. They're all working with limited information. Yeah, Flash has no idea. He's never even seen the reactors. He just knows he's under so much pressure. And better strategy can acknowledge it in his best interests. Oh, but another run over the top. The reactors have not been repaired. And the classic mistake of all the APHIS in one basket. And there it goes! With it. Really, any dream. Titans take 1,300 energy a shot. Down to 10k. The bombing run. And he just... Florio almost given up on it. The Razors. The Resbots are in the midst of everything. This awkward engagement on the hill between the Titans and the Razorbacks. The Titans much better at a direct engagement, but a lot of their shots are going into the mountain, which, you know, a classic issue. the Terrain Republic the strongest faction. Now, Flash will retreat from the hill. And now better strategy. Not one to discriminate. Swinging all the way around the outside. Around the outside. Around the outside. In Flash, does he have vision? We see the edge of the map. But the bombers... Will he have time? There are fighters. He sees a couple dots. But he's so busy. He's currently fighting... Oh my. And just as he's getting squeezed from the front, here comes better strategy in the back. The fusion reactors are targeted. The bombers unleash. And there it goes. Another critical hit. Another unmitigated disaster as better strategy waiting for his moment, and he finds two. Florio and Flash brawling it out, but Act 2 better strategy. And you know, it might be dirty, it might be shameful, but you know what else it is? Effective. Better strategy is now the proud owner of the most economy in the game. The Kingmaker. And he's chosen himself. They both ignored him for so long. And now the Thors are marching over the field. Really, rolling. And, well, so, there's still commanders in the Titan standoff. And the thing is, indeed, Florio has a lot of territory between him and the ground forces of better strategy. So, and the Razorbacks may be enough to overrun the Thors. Those lightning tanks, that last commander, he sees it, it's targeted. The commander is cloaked, just dancing. The EMPs, though, the Thors can fire off EMP missiles. Building him up, wait, oh no. The commander. Oh, he's just... Wait, does he have he has another one. All right, okay. He tries to trade it out. The Razorbacks can't fire, they don't have enough energy. A wave of EMP missiles will be dodged. Kind of wasted them there. And Florio is still building up. He has so much territory in multiple advanced geos, which were not taken out. That means his economy is still high enough to potentially rebuild. Flash, on the other hand, might be able to win this battle. But the war is now heavily in doubt. The gunslingers are trying to take out aircraft, which, good luck. The Razorbacks stand their ground. The Thors being outflanked. The numbers, I think, are a little too thin. The Thor's much better at taking out, like, small and medium-sized units with that chain lightning attack. He'll zone him out and cover his retreat. A better strategy, not scaling anymore. Yeah, he has his bank of fusion reactors. He's at 40k energy, which is still 4 times as high as Florio has been able to recover. He's rebuilding his aircraft. Stayed notably out of the chat, I think, throughout all this. And he's got most of the metal extractors rebuilt. Does not want to be prey to that same situation. He's got the Titans standing their ground to the north to keep Flash from breaking forward. The spit of territory left to Flash. A few fighters left over, preventing the bombing from doing critical damage. But he's stuck down the center. Somewhat literally between 2 Titans. Better strategy has played the game. Flash begged for his help. But it came at a cost, because once the bombers were turned towards him, he was woefully underprepared to defend them. The pulsars helping cut into this, but Florio has to move. Will Flash? He sees the Titans moving. Well, he also sees better strategy moving. There's a nuclear launcher in production, still 14 minutes off, so it's gonna be a while. And now, adding Titans as well. The Titans from Florio, moving into position to intercept, to staunch the bleeding here. But that will leave him wide open to an attack from Flash. But Flash cannot risk. Flash has to build wind again. That's the kind of economy he's on. Which, yeah, we thought we graduated past that, but... Well, at least the wind will always blow. Meanwhile, fires off a volley of EMP. And might be able to stun some of the Titans. Indeed he does! Half the Titans hit by the EMP, another volley. Thinning out the potential defenses. The Pulsar is still cutting into this somewhat. They don't hold him for long. Another wave of fighters will scout through to see if Florio has any targets worth hitting. He's back up to 20k energy. Flash languishing on his strip of territory left to him. Still so many units, it's too difficult to engage. And enough Titans to turn better strategy away for now. The Razorbacks in the hills. A last circle of fighters to try to stave off any more directed air assault, though not nearly enough to stop a committed one. But Florio, so part of having all this is having all these metal extractors. I believe he now has, well, by far more metal extractors than anyone. You can go to his vision. He's got 40 tier 2 metal extractors. Compare that to Better Strategy, who's sitting on 16. So map control is very relevant here. And the sheer territory he has giving him that extra income that kind of makes up the gap in energy production. Meanwhile, the Razorbacks try to hold. The repairs are not enough. Flash gonna try to cut through on the eastern front. And Florio is rebuilding his power grid back here. And he doesn't have nearly enough to defend. Flash commits his Razorbacks to this fight. And Florio is stretched too thin. XD. Those are his thoughts on the matter. Not exactly elegant, but descriptive. The Razorbacks will cut through. Does he know? He doesn't know about the power grid. But if he punches through any further, he'll see it. Not enough coming back to defend. He doesn't have vision. Florio's splitting up, moving some forward. The Pulsars, again, he doesn't know that the fusion reactors are back there. He just knows there's some defenses. For all he knows, it could just be a few Pulsars. So, he'll be turned away, and that will give Florio enough time to rebuild. Flash is still at 4k energy. He's absolutely desperate. He can barely fire the weapons on the units he has, let alone build new ones. The advanced Geo makes up a full quarter of his economy. Better Strategies at 43k, but Florio has done an incredible job of rebuilding. Of course, he had the industrial base to do so. And don't forget, on roads, units move 140% speed, which is quite a notable increase. So attacking directly down the roads is relevant. Meanwhile, a couple Razorbacks making their way to the north side, cutting through a chunk of the metal extractors. And Better Strategy has taken the first place on the leaderboard. I think he did that a while ago, but he's maintained it. The atomic bombers will blast the front line. Stealing a tactic from, well, both sides at this stage. Everyone's been whipping out the liches. Liches find niches, as they say. And mostly in taking out tier 3 units woefully underdefended without enough energy. But another massive bombing run! And he might see some of it, the player cam. Oh my.
It's a play. Yeah, it's a play.
He doesn't see. He's not moving. He doesn't have air. Well, he has some air coalescing here. There's a few fusion reactors he actually managed. A couple of them were not completely disintegrated, but instead left as wreckage. So he did rebuild them. But how does he not have radar? The entire air fleet, the bombing fleet to the north. He's in the dark, and what he doesn't know can very much hurt him again. Does Better Strategy know where the fusions are? Yes, he knows. Oh no. The standoff again. Wow. There are no jammer planes. He just didn't build any radar. Oh my. Better Strategy is pinging. The only people who can see that are the spectators. Oh, believe me, we're watching. Florio Oh, it's already too late. It's a disaster. His plans. Just, wow, okay. There it goes. He brought about 2 more bombers than he needed. And again, Florio. His economy exploderated and his chances drastically dropping. XDDD, FFS. Some very valuable acronyms. And the lack of radar. That due diligence wasn't there. And better strategies. Blizzard strike twice. And a nuclear missile! Oh my. On Flash as better strategy. The whole frontline defense. Everyone hearing the nuke. And better strategy now. His living up to his name. Not discriminating with the destruction, but completely hamstringing both players simultaneously yet again. Wiping out the fusion economy of Florio and knocking out the frontline defenses of Flash. But still technically leaving them both alive for now. But the army of better strategy has come together. He has 1,100 units, which includes, oh my, 400 pawns, which pawn together strong. Titans on either side. But better strategy is looking to make everything his own. The pawns sprinting forward on the roads. The Titans trying to cut them down, but the numbers are too high. There's not enough defense. The Titans are overrun, and there's plenty more behind this. The sharpshooters spoiled for targets. And it's very simply not enough. He's falling back, and he can't stop all this. Meanwhile, the armies of Florio are moving to engage Flash. What is this 2v1? Ah, now the complaints come out. It was inevitable. The Razorbacks of Flash. Actually, that's a whole lot of them. Spectators chastising the others for even thinking about cheating. There's a lot of etiquette in these sort of games. These are custom games created. I mean, technically all that, but... There's still the Geo on the high ground. Flash will retreat. Meanwhile, the tier 3, almost all of the pawns were cut down. But the territory, another nuke knocked out of the sky. But the ticks will not be stopped so easily. Better strategy overrunning Flash's base. The turrets are turned around, firing over the top of all these res bots. The Razorbacks moving into position. Flash. Struggling. The fighters moving to intercept, but there's actually no anti-ground capabilities in the air. Just the fighters themselves. Why you guys hate me so much? Flash, who was arguably the most threatening player in the game to better strategy the entire time. And little does he know, he's barely getting a third of the drama. Florio is warranting most of the attention. The Titans try to take down the atomic bombers, but they're stuck climbing the mountain, maximizing the damage. One of the Geos goes down, and the explosion will chain to all of the construction turrets nearby. Better strategy cresting the mountain. Florio has 2 commanders left, one of them going to be used to take out as many Titans as possible. 1, 2, 3! But still, a dozen remain. As better strategy sweeps through the field. The last weakness is his commander, which is currently cloaked in a radar jammer. So would literally have to either be carpet bombed and get lucky, or scour the entire field to see it. The Titans just carving their way through the last of the infrastructure. Florio spread too thinly. Like butter over too much bread. The Titans will fall by the dozen. But Flash is running out of options as well. I'm hard-pressed to see any sort of turnaround at this stage. We're gonna speed it up just a bit. More nukes landing. This is not some speed boost. I added about 20% speed to the game. So we can still see the glory. But we get to the conclusion. Though, you know, well, there's still the Dreamer's chance to snipe the commander. Flash still has enough Razorbacks. Flash has his first Titan, I believe, just resurrecting some of the dregs. As the Titan's a better strategy. Some more bombers will be chased down with incredible prejudice. Sends the entire air fleet. And takes them out, but I think it's a little late to be prioritizing that. In the last march of the Razorbacks. Thing is, you can see how tanky those Titans are. 20 Razorbacks still taking several seconds to take down a Titan that they completely 360-degree flank. Titans from the high ground. The force is thinning out as they get too far behind enemy lines. Flash, using that commander, takes out a Titan. There is a tiny dream, but the nuclear launch is detected. He's firing it out of friendly range, but dangerously close. Oh, we have an indicator now. But the anti-nuke will intercept it. Knocks it out of the sky, and Flash actually could push forward. And has sort of an obligation to. He's resurrecting as much as he can. Still a bit of an impasse, and there's 4 pulsars making moving forward incredibly difficult. Florio's still unable to really contain the Titan push. The unseemly amount of Resbots protecting all this. Florio with his last commander. Finally down to 1. Gonna use it. He lines up the Titans. And that's 2 in 1 shot. And another takes all 3. And 3% left. And indeed, OP. He lives. A valiant defense by the last commander, the last line, and the last chance. Flash with a single push that might be able to threaten better strategy. Florio still has... He resurrected several fusion cores. And there's enough Titans. Yeah, and that there is... If both Florio and Flash concentrate all of their forces completely... I mean... There's still enough units standing for both of them. Both of them committing their commanders against Titans is risky business. He sees the radar contact here. But again, the commander will come up. Flash! Oh my. The pulsar's in range, just barely. Get a lance at the knees. A nuke knocked out of the sky, but somehow stabilizing. And Flash, incredibly, you see the optimism. These players queuing up the economy well beforehand. Flash building a fusion reactor with only 2k energy per second. Those things take 69,000 energy to build overall. So, nice try. I mean, it's over time, not at once. So, and he will get one, which will help the rest. So, maybe... better strategy rebuilding after his foray into the Northern Territories. But he became bogged down by attrition. Slowly but surely, Florio, especially with his commander surviving at 3% HP, resurrecting all those units. Pinging the aphises here, the advanced fusions, which, again, only the spectators like us could see. Better strategy, thinking about going north, but a line of Razorbacks will keep him at bay. The Thor is taking out literally dozens per shot of those Resbots. Oh my. I think he took him, oh my, wow, 20-something. That single Thor! Oh, the Resbots finally react. Florio moving forward. Flash with his last commander is gonna have to pull a oh no, there's vision! There's radar. He sees a dot. It's pretty obvious what that dot could be. And Flash is playing with fire here. That's his last commander. There's a Titan! Oh, Titan! He walked through the water. I don't even know if that was intentional. And by water, I mean lava. But Oh no! The Titan with a direct hit! And Flash! Oh wait, he has another commander. What? At the last second, but the bombers come in and wipe out the economy. In any hopes of a Flash Florio coalition. There's another commander at 25%. But Flash is gonna be losing his fusion and with it half of his remaining economy. And the threat of the once mighty and now mediocre forces. Flash somehow still has 2 commanders again. Knocking down more of the aircraft, but oh my. A nuclear launch detected. The anti-nuke was knocked out. The nuke targeted on, well, there's not even that much here, but it's gonna be dramatic. Flash's last commanders, his Razorbacks, which have 570 kills. Flash being targeted. Better strategy. BS for short, as both Flash and Florio might count him. Cresting the mountain with the commander again, as many players found was, ooh, nice EMP missile, lines up a much easier shot for the commander. Gonna take out the only unstunned triple kill. And that commander now has plus 111% health. So, as you get more health as you rank up over time. Maybe not enough to survive multiple nuclear missiles, but, well, Flash holding out a little bit longer. But he's down to literally like a dozen wind turbines. And a couple commanders. The field looking quite sparse now, as better strategy stabilized his quadrant. He has multiple power grids, so even if one gets taken out, it won't necessarily be the end. And he played it well. He even has, it almost looks like a block on the mini-map, but that's just a fighter patrol covering all of his bases. A lesson that he's taught to his opponents multiple times now. Running out of time, Florio. Flash begs for help. But he calls out, and Florio will not answer. Florio gonna use Flash's last stand. A single lava titan. The lava not doing it, you know, it moves insanely slow. But it does move, as we've seen. The damage of the lava, not enough to outright stop, though there are, I don't think you can shoot at it with gunships. Meanwhile, a entire wave of fighters is spread across. A nuke! Where's it going? Oh, down the side. He's actually gonna end up nuking his own units more. Punctuating this death sentence. The Titans of the lava. Really only taking like 1% damage every 10 seconds. So the lava not nearly as... Those are lava-resistant Titans, which is becoming quite a concern. Yeah, the gunships can't fire into the water, of which they're or under the lava, which they're technically underneath. Creating quite a quandary here. And some of the economy is potentially vulnerable. So Florio may have found a technicality. Yeah, torpedo bombers, but will he think of them in time? The Razorbacks still stretch very thinly across the front line. Trying to box out some of the incursions. Flash covering for Florio, though it might not be intentional. Wait, is he firing at it? Nope, it's just the lava. They're taking absolutely forever to get here. He's making mass pulsar, which, yeah, that's one way to do it, I think. Flash trying to stun whatever he can. He's still got an advanced geo. Nuclear bombers, does that work? Huh. Can you just target ground? He's just targeting the lava, which... Now this is... Oh, Titan of the lava. What is it? Kind of terrifying. Is it... I think it's working. Yeah? Yep. He actually doesn't have... Well, he sees them physically. He physically sees them, but he doesn't have sonar. Probably because... Well, you could build it on land, I think, but... The last few units as Flash is unwilling to give it up until the very end. The gunships will find a much more vulnerable Titan here. Though Flash still technically has 2 commanders. The nuclear bombers are just having their pick as the Titan's moving at glacial speeds underneath the lava, somewhat ironically. Trying to... If even one gets by, well... Here comes Florio. Florio has been building up a fleet. Better strategy is 73k energy. And 1,000 metal a second. To 30k and 400. Are there enough fighters? Wait a second. Better strategy has barely any fighters. Florio, wait a second. Whoa, 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 whoa. Here come the bombers. He does not. He slacked on building the fighters. Oh no. It's a disaster. Better strategy with a explosive taste of his own medicine. Almost no fighters at all. The bombers will target one of the power grids. Many of them taken down with it. But down goes a chunk. The commander itself is in a safe enough location. But another set of fusions knocked out, and just like that, there's just one more grid. Flash unceremoniously taken out of the game. But better strategy falls prey to his own strategy, which was a confusing sentence. But the results speak for themselves. Florio survives and uses all that territory. He doesn't know where the commander is. But oh no! He spent so honestly waving the Titans in front of him in the lava. It was but a ruse, a red herring if you would. The Titans in the lava keep you busy. Better strategy just spent 5 minutes trying to figure out how to kill half a dozen Titans that were languishing in lava, instead of dealing with the much more real and present danger of hundreds of fighters and dozens of bombers. Wow. What a disaster. He pulled himself up by his bot straps. And now a Hail Mary, a nuclear missile. Oh, wait! Okay, the commander is safe. There's multiple as well. He targets down the center. There is anti-nuke. Yes, there's anti-nuke in towards the main power grid. But, oh my. It worked. I think better strategy was so confident that he wiped out the economies multiple times. And it's been over 60 minutes. But Florio, rebuilding not once, not twice, but thrice, and from the ashes, and in such an unreasonable yet dramatic fashion. Florio surviving. Now, the frontline battle, no matter how you feel about the backstabbing of better strategy, Florio's constant brawling, fighting Flash, and then fighting on 2 fronts, and then somehow turning it around. I bet he's surprised that there weren't enough fighters. But it's what you don't know that certainly hurts the most. The lava claiming a few res bots that took the wrong path. And the final assault is coming together. A nuke. Targeted. He's just targeting... Oh, he just taps it out? Better strategy. Check and mate. He sees the army's building. And you're champion. Florio was 3% on his commander. Someone pointed it out in the chat. He was 3% on that commander. Away from losing. If that commander had not taken out multiple Titans and survived to tell the tale, I think better strategy... Well, obviously better strategy just wins. He did the most damage. He destroyed the most units. He, how much metal produced? In fact, better strategy had the best economy for so long. But, the survival, rolling with the punches, and punching back at the end. Florio with a well-earned victory after over an hour, and claims the island, the battle, the hearts, the minds, and the hopefully likes and subscribes. Thank you for watching. I hope I made your day at least a little bit better. And if you got the means of motivation, you also check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But you're liking and subscribing. It's still free, at least for now. So thank you to our mule tier patrons. We might have to change up the name. We do more bar. Big Jiggy Devendor, Kate Mario Suit. And make sure to check out this video. Jimmy picked it out just for you. So thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay unreasonable.